1. I'm sure many people have placed their feet on the dashboard of someone's car and were told to put their feet down, because it's a distraction and hard to see past their feet or something of that sorts. Well, this story ended a little differently, because how dare she, the golden child number 2, have to put their feet down? She deserves to feel the breeze on her feet and do whatever she wants. So this story happened several years ago with my baby sister, Mel. She, as mentioned above, is the second golden child who would demand to sit in the passenger seat or throw a massive temper tantrum, and even refuse to move until our parents give in to their precious angel. Well, as Mel got older, she decided I'm too cool to sit normally, and started putting her feet on the dashboard, even though she knows it's blocking the view of the right side, so our parents would have anyone in the back seat tell them if there were any cars coming so they can back out safely. It even reached the point where Mel would purposefully walk out to the car barefoot and take her sweet time putting her shoes on while keeping her feet propped up on the dashboard. Our mom, a bit annoyed, asked Mel nicely, "Can you please put your feet down? I'm trying to pull out of the driveway." Mel, rolling her eyes, would respond, "You can pull out just fine, there isn't even any cars. Just go." There actually was a car coming, but at a steady pace, and our mom managed to notice and let them pass before pulling out. Because of this incident, our mom started being a bit more stern about Mel propping her feet on the dashboard. Mel then started deciding that if she couldn't prop her feet up, then she'd lean back as far as she could, even if someone else was sitting behind her. She's willing to crush our legs if she had to. And if we complain about it, she'd just tell us to move over to the other seat then, despite there only being room for 3 people in the back, and we'd basically be sitting on one another's lap so she can lean back. After a while, Mel started propping her feet on the dashboard again, with the passenger seat leaned back, making it hard for anyone to sit in the back, so Mom made it clear that Mel isn't allowed to do it anymore. But she just became enraged about it and kicked the windshield hard, cracking it with her bare heel. Our mom got mad and pulled over, telling her she wasn't going to take Mel wherever she wanted to go, unless Mel put her feet down and her shoes on. They went back and forth for about 15 minutes, before Mel finally put her shoes on. And I'll just say I, who needed to get to work, was late getting there by about 10 minutes. Luckily, my manager was understanding, and I eventually got to work. Mel, luckily, doesn't put her feet on the dashboard anymore, nor did she pay for the cracked windshield, but she now owns her own car. Ironically, it has random engine problems and causes the car to just stall anywhere. Once it even stalled in the intersection of the road not too far from where I worked at. Luckily, it wasn't that busy that day, and after 15 minutes of trying to start up the engine, it started up again. I guess this is karma, in a way. 2. For starters, I don't know if Karen was acting this way due to mental illness, or if she was just having a bad day, but it wasn't right to just keep yelling at everyone who was trying to help her, and the employees who failed to step in to stop her ranting. The first part will be from Kirito's point of view, and then I don't come in until the last half of the story, because I was at college, and Kirito had decided to come pick me up, despite me telling him he doesn't need to, because of his old, not fully healed ankle injury that constantly flares up when he walks around too much. Kirito had came halfway to meet me at a gas station just across the transit center we used to get to college. While there, he noticed a middle-aged woman asking everyone shopping there for help with the ATM, but after a few minutes she'd start going off in them and screaming at them to F off then, before going up to someone else and asking them to help her again. She even approached Kirito, and then also got mad at him. He then texted me what happened, and I told him that he should have ignored her, and told her he didn't bank at that bank. I told him to even pass her off to an employee to deal with. He tells me that the employees had been ignoring Karen, and told him that she's been doing that for the past few hours or so, which I think was just BS, or them slacking on the job. I believe the ATM is Uber America. while we used the formerly known as TFC. After a few minutes, I arrived at the gas station and started browsing around for a bit for a quick snack for the ride back home. Not long after we started browsing, Karen stepped between me and Carito and asked me to help her with the ATM. Since I knew she would start getting mad at me if I didn't try to help her anyways, I just told her, "Sorry, I don't have an account for that bank." "I just need help with withdrawal. You don't need to have an account, just help me withdraw some cash." "I can't. I have somewhere else to go and need to pay." Karen immediately gets angry and goes off that kids these days don't have any respect for their elders. All they ever want to do is get it on and do drugs. To which I take the chance to back off in the opposite direction to get back to Carito, who also did the same thing. After Karen noticed that I had retreated away from her, she came looking for me, after spotting me, and continued her angry teens rant. Luckily, a worker who was a former classmate from high school, Kayla, stepped in between Karen and us, saying, "Ma'am, please stop yelling at the customers, and if you need assistance, I'm more than willing to help you out." Karen then started yelling at her about dirty Africans and stupid Asians. Myself and my brother are Asian, and stealing all the jobs from her kind, who should just F back to your own country. "'Cause we doesn't like your kinds here." This made Kayla go mad and go off on Karen with the threat of, "I'll call the cops if you don't get your racist old ass out of here now." Karen turned and stormed off, yelling a string of insults at us. Kayla watched Karen leave before turning and asking if we were okay, to which I responded, "Why didn't anyone who worked here tell her to leave when she was going off on everyone else? My brother says she's been here for hours just yelling at everyone, and none of your co-workers stepped in to stop her." Kayla responded, "I don't know, I just walked in and I haven't even clocked in yet. I stepped in as soon as I saw Karen coming at you and your brother. Here, I'll clock in and ring you guys up so you can leave." Kayla did just that and made sure we made it back to the transit center before she went back to the gas station. She messaged me later on Facebook that her co-worker had heard everything that happened in the store, but didn't want to step in and just hid in the back. Kayla gave them a few good minutes of why they should have stepped in, but I haven't been there in a while, and Kayla told me she no longer works there, because management had gone downhill and hardly hire good workers to work here. 3. I'm a 28-year-old man and autistic. I just wanted to spend some time relaxing in our local swimming pool. I had black goggles and liked to swim underwater. I also liked to simply rest against the poolside and chill. Also, I was the only adult male without any children in this pool, which is clearly for everyone to use, shallow at one end, deep at the other end, etc. I'm just resting by the poolside when a manager, not even a lifeguard, a bloody manager, comes over to me and tells me my presence and behavior is making someone uncomfortable. He explained that someone had complained that me diving underwater and simply sitting by the side of the pool was apparently unacceptable, because I was apparently doing this to peep on children. He told me this in a non-accusatory tone and seemed to sound as confused as me about this. At first I thought I was upsetting some over-worried parent, and being a parent myself, I felt horrible. I explained that I was just relaxing by the poolside, offered to take off my goggles to put them at ease, and even wanted to apologize to this person. The manager seemed to accept this and presumably went back to the parent to let them know I was sorry for upsetting them. About 10 minutes passed and the manager was back, telling me the police had arrived. I was shocked and asked if it was about me. The manager said yes, and they wanted to talk to me. This is when I meet the entitled dad for the first time. Big guy, maybe early to mid-30s, and pretty buff-looking. This is the only time he spoke to me, and all he said was, "You better go quietly or I'll tell everyone here you're a pedophile." He walked away before I could reply, and the manager led me out of the pool. I felt tempted to flip this Kevin the Bird as I walked by, but I kept my cool and just left. I get to the locker rooms, and 2 policewomen are waiting. Fortunately for me, they were really nice and friendly with me the whole time. After grabbing a towel, they started asking me what happened and what I was doing. I was honest and told them I was just trying to relax and had no idea I was upsetting this person just by being there. I even told them I was autistic, which led to one of the officers telling me they had a family member who was also autistic. Then they asked me for my details to run through their database. While that went on, the entitled dad walked by, and one of the officers asked to talk with him. He agreed, and they went elsewhere. I got changed back into my clothes, and as I was coming out of the changing room, the entitled dad was in my way with his back to me. I couldn't quite hear what he was saying over the other people in the room, but I did hear him rather loudly order his kids to stay put while he got changed. He walked off without seeing me, and I left the locker room. The police stayed with me in the lobby until their database came back. Of course, it came back that I had no history of crime, and the gym staff had told the officers I had no history of disturbing other people, and I was free to go. However, the entitled dad was hanging around near the back of the lobby watching me. The police saw this too, and offered to give me a ride home since I had walked to the gym. I accepted this since I was pretty shell-shocked by the whole ordeal, and worried this guy would try something on my way home. In all, this was a really scary experience, and I'm still shaking as I type this. I'm just glad the manager and the police were professional enough to let me speak my piece. I should mention there were other parents in the pool who didn't care about my presence. Another dad and his kids were playing right next to me, and he didn't care. Update. I went back to the gym today to see if the same manager was on duty. Thankfully he was, and he took me aside to explain his perspective on things. Apparently this Kevin seemed to be trouble from the start, being very irate with Mike the manager as well as other staff members. The only reason it wasn't the lifeguards dealing with him was because they were scared of him, being 17 and 18-year-olds, and this guy was an early 30s looking buff man. Even Mike, who was roughly the same age as the Kevin, was concerned with his behavior, thinking if he got near me that we'd end up throwing hands. When Mike first told him that I had offered to leave my goggles off so I wouldn't dive underwater, that apparently wasn't good enough. Then the police arrived. Mike had actually just told them he was concerned for my safety, nothing about the other accusations. No wonder they were so nice. I then asked Mike if at any point he thought I really was a threat to the kids. He laughed and said no, saying that when I had mentioned I had kids of my own, the fact that I had offered to apologize and attempt to de-escalate things, he could tell that I wasn't dangerous. He was thinking more about me being safe and whether or not I was a threat. The police seemed to think that way too. At one point after I left, the Kevin was getting mouthy again and the receptionist chewed him out for his actions. I wish I could have seen that. Then Mike asked if I made it home okay, and I told him about the police giving me a ride. Their car wasn't inside of the building. He was relieved and hoped this event hadn't put me off coming back. I do plan to come back to this gym now since I can count on the staff to have my back now. But yeah, everything is cool now, and everybody knows what a twat this guy is. So I don't think I'm in any further trouble anymore. Oh, and to answer why I left, I was given the choice whether to go or not. No one told me to leave. I was planning on leaving a few minutes before this encounter anyway, so I didn't mind too much. It was only when the police officer caught Kevin staring at me that they offered to give me a ride. 4. So to preface this, my family is poor. We always have been, and thus they didn't go out a lot as kids and teens, and so on and so forth. This happened about 7 years ago. It was my dad's birthday, and my sister and I had been working for a bit now, her just out of high school, me out of college. We, for the first time, had extra money, and so we decided that we would take the family, all 5 of us, out to dinner together, splitting it evenly. We went to the fruit restaurant, which I guess some think is trashy, but we never really went out to eat as kids and never real restaurants, so the fruit restaurant seemed pretty upscale to us. We get there and get seated. It took a long while for our server, blonde and pretty, honestly, she seemed kinda nice at first, to show up. Drinks took a while, and then we waited longer to order apps and entrees. To estimate, we arrived around 5 p.m. and didn't actually leave until 10 p.m. That wasn't a choice, that's just how long everything took. Plus, she was kind of short with us when ordering. It was dinner time, so we weren't stressing. Figured she was busy, but Sis and I did note the attitude as we worked in restaurants ourselves. The problems really started when my dad's food came out wrong, and my mom's was cold. It took us forever to get her attention, and then she complained and was snarky about taking the food back. My dad didn't complain about things that upset him, hence I voiced the issue. Not him, but it was pretty obvious he wasn't happy about the attitude. We ended up getting dessert and paying. My sister and I weren't happy with the attitude, but we weren't going to stiff her. She brought the bill, and I guess she overheard my sister mentioning that she didn't want to pay 20% for a tip. She just completely gave up on being nice and not rude to us then. Our dessert hadn't even come out yet, so we still had to deal with her. The fruit restaurant has a little kiosk on the table to pay, and we split the bill on there. We then split the tip. We didn't give 20%, but we still gave her 15%, which we figured was being generous. We called it a day and went home to chill out. 2 days later, when the charges came through, it was more than we expected. We redid the math, and then had our dad, who was very good at math, check us. We were overcharged by about $20. My sister doesn't do confrontation, so I called and found out that the 20 extra was registered as the tip, and we both know that we didn't authorize that. So I told the manager I spoke with we were going to come in with the receipt that was printed off, with the original amount we left for tip. We walked up there, and he met us at the door. He was very nice and sat us nearby while he checked the system, and gave us free drinks. While we were sitting, I spotted the waitress. She was near the kitchen talking to someone. The manager came back to us with the new receipt about then. She watches him come over and spotted us. She then left out the side door. The manager admits that someone added more to the tip at the computer after we left, but before it processed completely. He refunded the whole tip amount to us and offered us a free dinner. He then said that she had done this before and he was going to talk to her. No idea what happened after that, but I did go back a few times and never saw her, though it could just be that she wasn't on shift. Even now I look back and can't believe she thought we wouldn't notice the difference. 5. My bank has a branch at a nearby Walmart. I'm disabled, so have to use an electric cart to do my shopping. The bank was quite busy, with 3 other patrons in front of me. There was about 8 feet from where I was outside the exit aisle to the nearest checkout counter. I was sitting outside the bank, waiting to go forward, while playing on my phone, when this woman stopped in front of me. Unlike most Karens, she didn't have bleach blonde hair or huge sunglasses pushed up to the top of her head. She did have a scowl as she looked down at me. "Ma'am, I'm next in line." "I'm not in line. I bank somewhere important. I need you to move your cart." "Why?" "I need to get by you." I looked behind me. Several people moved past us, going toward the exit. "I don't see why you're having difficulty passing me." "You need to move your cart so I can get by you." I looked behind me again, then looked up at her. "I'm so sorry." She placed her free hand on her hip and said, "Thank you." I continued to stay there, not even moving up in line, as people doing business in the bank left. She huffed. "I thought you were going to move." Another couple walked by us toward the exit. I had no intention of moving. "But I have important business to attend to. You need to move." The aisle was clear, and I looked behind me. "No, I don't." I'm sorry that 8 feet between me and the checkout counter is not big enough for your ego to walk past me. I was here first, and you came up trying to cause trouble. If you won't buy me, go around." She huffed again. "I'm calling 911. The cops are going to come and arrest you." "Oh yeah? They're going to come out to arrest me because you're too lazy to walk around my cart? Will you move? Will you go around?" Chris, one of the bank associates, called me forward to wait on me. "I'm moving, not because you asked me to or demanded that I do, but I have important business to attend to." She started to go around the front of my cart, and I moved forward. She huffed again and moved to the back of me. I moved backward. I grinned at her. "I'm so sorry, I just can't seem to work this cart right." Chris watched us, grinning. I finally decided I'd played my hand long enough, and I moved up to the counter, and she left. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, episode 140. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, I would appreciate it if you hit the like button. You can also get the videos a little bit early if you support me through my Patreon, which is linked in the description. You can do that for as little as $1 or more if you'd like a month. You'll also find a link in the description to the Hellfreezer merchandise store on Teespring. And you can make donations during streams and videos like this one. And while you don't have to do that, I very much appreciate it and thank you kindly. Right, I don't think there's any other business today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is: name a celebrity that you immediately associate with the holiday period, even though they do other things the rest of the year. For me, I kind of associate any actor that plays the Doctor in Doctor Who because, until a few years back, although it's continuing, we used to always get special Christmas episodes of Doctor Who. Or, more with New Year's, although I'm not really a fan of this particular person, always Jules Holland in the UK with New Year, because he always does a New Year's Eve show, at least. He used to. I don't know if he still does. But why don't you let me know who some of yours are in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.